what should she put on the cache page for content elements? That's really your creativity. You're the artist.
Do you have good examples of ones you think are good?
We could look at my cache pages, which are all no, and not all of them are, but it's really, you should just look at cache pages you've seen and then say, yeah, I kind of like that or I don't like that. And then just because you can do all these codes and you can copy and paste them from Gizmo Guy's nice little primer page, doesn't mean you should use them all. You should look at nice cache pages, right? You look like someone who reads a lot in newspaper or whatever, and you know what good layout should look like. Well, it's the same on your cache page. You want good layout. You don't want to, you put a bunch of marquees on there because you can, and put things in bold and like 100 different colors. I see people do that once they start making cache pages, and they're having fun, and they make each paragraph a different color, and that because they can. They're like, this is fun. I can just tell it red or blue or yellow.
Those are ransom letters.
Those are ransom letters. Well, we'll get back to this right here. And yeah, to answer your question, yes, it's all about creativity. You really just learn by experience creating cache pages, what you see out there and you like. And we're not actually gearing this towards like the content of the page. We're just showing you how to write it. And then the creativity part's up to you. So going back to this, so we showed you the basic code, bold, underline, and italics. Just again to prove that, show the point that, again, you have a start and a finish code for each type of code. Whether it's bold, you have a start and then a finish. And the finish, the one at the end, has the backslash. Okay. See, he's doing something I like to do, which drives me a little crazy. So you might remember the last thing we had talked about was font. See how we just made it all look really nice and happy and not all split up? He probably knows this because he's an IT professional. But when I copy HTML code off the internet, it's always broken up all crazy like that. It doesn't look like simple English like in a paragraph, you know? And so he just did that. He fixed it all right there. It means the same thing. It's just more pleasing to our eye and easier to understand in this format, just like he did here. Okay. So you see on the left, the start font and the very end there. So, and then you see on the right side, it says this is size 1 in Arial black font. And this color's in red and Verdana font size 2. And all this crazy code over here means exactly that. Yeah, that's a lot of code, isn't it? And it's a little confusing to look at it and all that. But why don't we... Yeah, so why don't we do this? Why don't we just simplify that, Tim? You guys can, when you look at the right side of the page, let's say look at the word in red, and that is red, and then we look in the left. And remember, you know you're very smart now, and you know that a beginning code is, it says font color equals number FF000, and then you have that, right, and then after red you have the end font code, right? Right, he just highlighted that. So you can see the two codes that control the word red right there. Hey, that's really simple. When you break it down like that mentally, it really helps you. You look at the right side and you see reds in red, and you say, how the heck did that happen? Oh, okay, I look to the left, I see. In geocaching networks, geocaching.com, his point is you can do it also like this. You can put red before and after like that as well. Why don't we do this really quick? What was go back. Okay, I just wanted to simplify that a little bit there. There, that helps. Okay. All right, so you made the code a little clearer to understand here anyway. Let's see, what do we want to do? Change the size for them, Tim. As Gizmo Guy's page says, you can change the size anywhere from 1 to 7. And see, we change the size to 5 down here. And the start font code and the end font code, it just controls the words, and this is the color. So you can just, changing the number is really easy, changes the font size. Hey, by the way, as a side note, don't you agree when the standard text on most cache pages is kind of small to read? That's why I always increase the size, and sometimes I put it all in bold or choose Arial black so everyone can read it, including those who are, you know, farsighted like me. Now I have transitions lenses. So if you're going to do this, make your font size a little larger for everyone to read, because it's hard to read the standard plain text font on cache pages. So make it larger. So another code that's I find really important is the center code. I find it especially important for pictures, because sometimes you want to have a picture in the middle of the page. You don't want it to be to the left side, because that looks ugly. That's an ugly layout. This is the other code that's really key. This is the one I'd like you to make a note of. My two favorites are the break code and the center code. And the BR for break, yeah, he's going to hit submit code. Basically, it puts space between your paragraphs or your picture and your text. That's really important. You don't want everything running together. You don't want your picture butt up against your text, because that's really hard to read, and it's not a very pleasing format. My point is, before all your codes or your paragraphs, use the break code, the BR, put a space between everything. And then, again, the center code, that's the second important point. Use that one when you want to center your text, or more importantly, your picture on the page. Well, why don't we do this, Tim? We could do the picture, but just do this really quick. Copy and paste is your friend. Now, we just showed you how to do these font sizes and colors down here. Why don't we go up to, like, for example, the third paragraph, and Tim will maybe steal, yes, he'll steal this here. And usually, yeah. So I just want to have him just copy and paste and show you how to. He sent me, so he pasted that up there on the third paragraph, and then he's going to put the end code for that. Watch the third paragraph on the right. That's how it was, and now we added this information. And see, basically it was the same. Remember how easy it was when we looked at the bold code? It was just a B, and then a B after that said end the bold here. This is kind of the same. It's just a little big. The tag is a little bit bigger, right? It says font size equals parentheses 5, and then it tells the face is Verdana. But you can see it does the same thing. What I do often is that if I would create like this and the code gets a little complicated, I would copy off Gizmo Guide's page, paste down here, and then you're like, well, you can always just take pieces of it and then use it and copy and paste that within your cache page if you want. Any questions so far? Does it sort of make sense?
Well,
a little tough.
Not everybody has all those fonts. So oftentimes, instead of just saying Arial, you'll make a series of fonts. So especially the difference between Macintosh and PC. You know, you might have Helvetica that will be displayed. Otherwise, the browser will show whatever the default font is on your computer, because it doesn't have the font you specify.
Yeah.
Go with the font that's readable.
Her point is that sometimes this goes back to the issue when you create things, sometimes everybody can't see them in the original way you created them, depending on their whatever default is set up in the computer, and that's true. I don't use fancy fonts and things. I don't go fancy. I just use Arial Black is easily readable by people because it's semi-bold and it's large letters and it's easily readable font. Very clean font. That's a good way to put it, Joyce. So unless I'm creating a pirate cache page, which I did in Mech 1, I used pirates kind of weird writing, like it was scratched on the page. I'll use like Arial Black or something very simple that everyone can read.
It's not a matter of visibility, it's a matter of it's physically not present.
Right. And her point was that someone might not even be able to see that particular font if you get too fancy and use something and their computer can't read it. What if, all right, what he just did is he got rid of all the other crap we had on there, so we can just work with the one code that we want to show you, so this doesn't look too busy. All right. So, one thing that may be really helpful for you is to create a link on your cache page, because you want to take someone else somewhere to a new place to give them some additional information. And sometimes that might be helpful for, like, for example, like the geochecker, if you have a puzzle or something like that, and you're trying to get people to solve, and you don't want them to waste time by going out to ground zero if they're not sure where ground zero is. So having a geochecker to enter the course they think is correct would be a good thing to get confirmation before they head out. All right, take a look at this on the left side of the page up there, and the code there, you see it. Okay, let me back up. Look at the right side of the page. You see the word here. Doesn't it look like a link that would be on a web page somewhere? It does. And when you touch it with the cursor, it turns into a hand, which tells you it's a link. All right. So on the left side, we want to see what made the word here a link. And yeah, we'll let him.
All right. Just everybody, real quick. This link is going to take us to geocaching.com. You can use a lot, like Ron had said, as far as geocheckers go. That's one of the main reasons I use it, but we'll start with the code. The letter P. Everybody should recognize that when we talk about a paragraph. I'm just using it as a spacer right now. So that's the beginning of my paragraph. If you would like to link a word, click, and then we automatically have that less than sign. It's the beginning of a tag. A, the letter A, nothing more, nothing less. That's going to be the beginning of your link. Okay, so the A, you start off with href. That's, I forget what it stands for, to be honest with you, but that's where you're going to be redirecting them to. So you're going to be redirecting them to a website. Okay, so href equals, bigger quotations like all the other tags have, but now you need to define where you want to take them to. So in this case, we have quotations. You have to add the HTTP. If you do not add that in, as you would see on your browser up top, that's what you need to put here, otherwise it won't know where you want them to go. It's going to think you want them on the same server. It's a different kind of code. So this we want http://www.geocaching.com there. So this word here, as we see on this side, over here, is in between here and this closing A tag. If I didn't have that closing A tag, everything else beneath it is going to be the link. Every word, every picture, everything that's there will be the big link. So you can click on any word. If you want to do that, that's fine. But if you have multiple links, that's really not going to help you too much. You can click on a picture, it can take you one place here. You can click on a secondary picture, it can take you to over here. You can click on this word, it will take you over here. You can click on an imaginary word, or a word that matches the background. Take you to another place. And then to end it all up, there's a closing tag for that paragraph.
So we copied this from Gizmo Guy's page. We copied it from that page. So really, we'll go back up and go simple now, right? We copied that from Gizmo Guy's page. We stole that enough. But you're saying, I don't need this website. I don't want to take them there. That's fine. This is obviously your address, like it up in your address bar up there. So all you would have to do, for example, is he's gonna copy that right now. And then he's gonna, see what he's gonna do?